Hi guys, welcome to the podcast with your energy answers. Today we got Alex from SolarWise Wagga Wagga, and Alex has been in the industry for quite a while. I think it goes back 2007, 8, 9, something like that.
Started the company in 2009, but about 2 or 3 years before that I was in the solar industry. So yeah, quite a while. Yeah, 15 to 17 years now.
So the solar panels were about $1,500 then, huh?
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I think a 160 watt panel was well over $1,000. It's quite
Individually wrapped.
Yeah, individually wrapped and worth the weight of gold.
And you track them, so all day you move them around so they get the ideal output.
Yep.
How things have changed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing where it's come.
So tell us about the company. How did you one day decide, I want to be in solar and I'll start a local company and in your region?
Yeah, look, I sort of, I guess, started in the irrigation industry. We used to do quite a few solar pumps with the company I was with. And then I was sort of asked within that company to sort of specialise in solar. And that's how I ended up being in the industry. And eventually I guess, thought there was a, great opportunity or a challenge to, put my toes in the water and start a business, and thought I had enough skills and, had accreditations to do so. So, opened SolarWise Wagga in 2009. And here we are now, many years later.
2009, that would have been when the feed-in tariff started, when we had the big rebates. So you did get a bit of government support to start it all off.
Yeah. So it was before the rebate started. I was doing a lot of smaller projects and, like I said, working with farmers with solar pumps and hot water, doing a lot of energy audits for customers as well. And then, the state government did announce the feed-in tariff in I think it was mid or late 2009. And, that's certainly propelled the business forward, but it was quite short, that sort of rebate. So it wasn't much, to keep the business hanging on. But, it certainly helped the industry push on.
And it's called the solar coaster not for a reason, because it's gone up and down. I mean, have you found it tough at times or?
Yeah, there has been challenges. I guess, it's gone through a lot of challenges. It's been very politically influenced over the years, as you can imagine.
You mean the solar rebates and all of those things?
Yeah,
yes.
So where there's, been politics involved, it sort of ebbs and flows a little bit. But I guess underpinning the industry has always been the technology and, the fundamentals of saving people energy or giving people the choice, is what's driven the industry. And, so it's sort of morphed. It's always been, foundationally strong industry, I believe.
But you would have started by yourself. So what are you now? How many people? What do you service?
Yeah, so we've got around 10 staff at the moment. And we service... we probably comfortably do a 200k radius of Wagga Wagga. But predominantly, obviously, within sort of 30 to 50k's or 100k's of Wagga. We do travel to some remote locations for some projects.
Do you do off-grid?
Yeah, we do a bit of off-grid. So, we're happy to travel for those customers. They obviously expect us to travel.
And what's the whole range of services you offer now?
So we do a lot of on-grid and off-grid solar with on-grid batteries and off-grid batteries. We also do a lot of hot water, helping people, electrify their homes, switch from gas or an old electric hot water, become more energy efficient. We do solar pumps. We do, what else? We do a lot of monitoring systems.
EV charger coming in?
EV chargers, they're certainly growing. We're doing quite a few of those. Helping support customers, get the most out of their energy. So we're sort of not so much a consultant. We are a bit of a consultant company, I guess, in some respect. So a lot of that does take time, and it's something we sort of do pride ourselves on, making sure people get the right information or the right product, or even afterwards getting the right, outcome is the main thing. So, and then, we so we do a lot of smaller on and off grid systems as well. For farmers, if they've got they might have a way bridge or something. They need power down the back paddock, or it does some random stuff. We've done small power systems for horse shelters. For show horses. There's some random stuff out there, but we love the challenge. Yeah.
So what's the system size nowadays? In the early days, you would have done a 1.5 kilowatt most of the times. What's it now?
Yeah. So I guess, I think the average is probably around 7 kilowatts, 8 kilowatts these days. We do a bit of commercial work as well. We're doing, probably the small to medium businesses, up to 100 kilowatts is probably our comfort zone. But yeah, it certainly has grown with the panel pricing and, coming down. So people are taking advantage of that. Yeah.
So if I would utilise your company, how would you summarise yourself up? What's your philosophy? Are you trying to get the cheapest system out at the quickest way and do a couple of bucks, or what's your philosophy?
Yeah, I think it's a partnership, It's a long-term partnership, whether you like it or not. You've got a relationship with that customer. Some of these products come with, up to 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years warranty. And I think we always ensure that we've got good, solid products with good, solid backing, for one, to make sure we're getting support our side of the fence, And then in turn, we can offer that support long-term for our customers and, one, help them get the most out of their system. Two, they might come back to us for, an EV charger or hot water, and we know what the household uses, and we can spec that appropriately and help them, make sure they're on the best energy plan. Or if they want to get away from the energy companies, we can, empower them to do that as well. So we've got a range of, and it really comes back to that time and partnership, and we believe in a regional area that's a big value for a lot of customers. So we do like that and honour that.
You talked about the prices. So what's your advice then? Is it more important for an end customer to really get the best possible price, or should he get the best possible product?
I think it's important to get value. And what we do is educate the customer to ensure they're getting, understanding the differences in price and why they're, different in price. Everyone's going to have a particular budget to sit against, which is fine. So we do have an array of products. So it's just, I guess it's helping them understand, what each product does and how it can help them. And and then once they're educated, we find, they'll make the particular choice which is best suited for their budget and, will give them the best result. We don't sort of try and, we love selling quality as much as we can. We'll never sort of steer them to the bottom end of the market if we like, because we know there's inherent risks later on. So, but we'll always, have the good, better, best option, and help them sort of understand those attributes of each product.
So the solar industry has gone through a couple of metamorphoses whereby you would have seen the result of really, really cheap stuff that looks the same from the ground when you look up, but maybe doesn't perform the same after time. What's your experience been with cheap gear? Yeah,
look, I guess some of the challenge is, knowing whether it's working or not. So we do see customers with older systems and they come to us, they don't think it's working or they don't know if it's working. So
no monitoring?
No monitoring, yeah. So it's really important if we can, if it is an older system, we'll encourage them to put some monitoring on. Therefore, we can sort of, gauge whether it's working appropriately.
What do you recommend for monitoring?
There's quite a few. Like if it's a retrofit, solar analytics is a good option. It's universal. We do also have other options, end-phase monitoring. That's really good if they're considering more panels. So end-phase is a system which is a modular system, so we can add to an existing older system, and that's really good. But yeah, it's just making sure it's working properly, or we also test the system to see if there's any faults, and then giving them the best advice if they do need to upgrade or repair a system. If the company's not around, or there could be warranty on some products as well. If there is, we can try and help them. Sometimes it is hard if the company's if it's a really old system, or the company that put it in has disappeared. So it can be a challenge. But we're here to support them if we can. We don't leave them in the lurch. We sort of want to make sure they're getting the best taste out of solar in general.
But if they bought a cheap, crappy system and now it's dead on arrival when you get there,
yeah,
why would you want to try and patch it back up? I mean, isn't it half the time really it's a hopeless case?
Well, I guess if it's dead, like if there's no way if we have to replace the system, it's a hard pill. Like, it's a hard message to get across to the customer.
But they're just expected to spend $200 on a little fuse, and you tell them the panels are gone.
Yeah. That's a hard conversation. And
Well, they might blame you. They say, some other bloke told me this lasts for 25 years, and now after 10 years you tell me it's dead.
Yeah, it is hard to sort of have those discussions, because you love the industry for so many things, and then a customer will sort of say, well,
you bastards are all the same.
Yeah. So we respect that it's a sensitive moment, and we try and help them as much as we can. Like, we have helped get people out of trouble before, where the company might have went bust, and got them back on track, and they're now our loyal customer, which is magnificent. And they've got someone local that they can ring up and say, hey, we're not sure if this is working, or can you check my energy bill? And they really love it now. So it just might have been that they may not have known the options. Some of the regional customers are vulnerable sometimes because they're remote and don't understand all the options, which happens from time to time.
Trustworthy?
Yeah, they can be trustworthy, and that's it's a good trait to have trust, but it's also good to be mindful of some of the crooks, and keep your guard up a little bit. So
the question is, when you pick suppliers, choosing between different inverter solutions, different panels, racking, what are your criteria?
So one, I guess they've got to be proven in the market. So they've got to be a reputable supplier, a good, strong track record in the industry. We are, and I've always been very conservative in bringing on new products. Usually, if it's a new product, I'll wait 1 or 2 years before it's proven, and I think that served us well, and it's testament to being how long we've been in business. So we'll make sure they're proven. They've got good after sales support, an Australian office definitely. It's good to have a sales rep or a technical support. Being in remote areas, and we're often out in the bush, and need someone to ring up on the phone. We've got to have that service, so we definitely look for that. And I guess have a lot of after sales training, and just be generally nice people to deal with. We all work hard. We want to make sure when we pick up the phone and talk to someone, on the other end, they have they've got the right attitude. Right attitude, and in it for the right reasons. So.
All right. And have you ever done a foot wrong and picked somebody where you later on thought, gee, I shouldn't have pushed that product?
I guess there has been times when we've chosen the wrong product. But I've learnt. We all happen to, I wouldn't say make mistakes. I think they're just learned experiences, the way I look at it. But if it is something we've chosen, we'll always support it, and that's important.
So you're not letting the customer hang?
No. So it's our, and that's why we have to make sure we insure against that and pick the right customers. So we do a lot of due diligence.
You mean the right
customer, the right customer, right product.
the right product, because
Yep.
I mean the customer is the customer. You can't really pick the right. I'm only picking the right customer, which is the one that wants to pay me the most money.
Yeah, I
No,
guess it's
no,
just
it's more about
it's
picking
getting
the product,
service.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So our service is only as good as the people we partner with, pretty much. So we realise that we're an extension of the product. We're technicians. We just want to make sure that's working, and you know, if there's we minimise the issues. If there is issues, we're able to service them effectively, and you know, move on and make sure things are ticking over as much as they can. That's the important thing.
So the whole installation system since 2009 and solar and all that, has it changed a lot?
Yeah, the standards have changed probably 3 or 4 times since I've been in the industry. So yeah, it's definitely kept us on our toes. And products have changed, you know. So there's a whole swag of different products. I think when you test to this, you know, there was probably about 9 inverters and half a dozen panels to choose from when we started. And, you know, I always sympathise with customers now, you know, they've got about 50 to 100, you know, panels and it has gotten smaller, which is, you know, I guess sign of the industry a little bit, but
So you're saying there's much more choice now, but now it's also started to consolidate a little bit.
yeah, I think some of the brands have consolidated a little bit. There's still a lot of installers out there, which is, you know, always happens, I think, but it's you know, I guess yeah, it's interesting how times have changed over the years. Yeah.
What are the key changes other than the technical standards?
So the key changes, I guess we're seeing obviously more batteries and energy management systems, you know, people utilising the solar. Solar's become a lot smarter. Before it was, you could say it was dumb solar. Now, you know, solar panels are really such a commoditized product in some ways, although there's some, you know, very big differences in solar panels, but it's only a small portion of the system as far as the technology goes. Yeah, so we've seen a lot of investment go into energy management systems, you know.
So the smart zone is usually in the inverter, isn't it?
Yeah, in the inverter or the control, you know, we're using products like Catch Power and, you know, to either divert excess energy into hot water or, you know, switch on a load like a pump or a, you know, another hot water system. It could be a pump for, you know, to transfer water to a header tank. So, you know, it's just bringing on those smarts, the monitoring as well, and batteries obviously come a long way as well. We're doing a lot more batteries. I'd say probably, you know, close to 40 or 50% of systems are now, new systems are putting in batteries. So whereas, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, you know, you might have done 1 in 100, you know, but now, yeah, people are definitely seeing the value in batteries.
Is that because the prices come down or there's more awareness?
I think the energy prices have gone up, and that's helped make the investment more viable. You know, your return on investments, you know, we're seeing anywhere, you know, around that 7 years mark at times.
When you have a solar and battery system together.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're doing a lot of battery retrofits still. So a lot of the older customers are now looking at batteries. You're also seeing, you know, energy retailers with two-way tariffs with batteries as well, like Amber Energy, you know, offering higher feeding tariffs, you know, from batteries when the energy prices spike in the market. So that's definitely helping drive the market in batteries.
So if I come to you now and I've got a house and I think, oh, electricity bill's $700, $800, $900 now, I'm really got to do something about it. Do you tell me to get solar or solar and battery?
It depends. I guess if you can afford a battery straight up, it's a good investment, I believe. It's generally more cost effective to do it straight up front. But if you want to do it, say you're not sure about, you know, how much money you've got, or, you know, certainly do the solar, put in a good monitoring system. We analyse that data for a good sort of portion, say 6 to 12 months, and then we can size the battery. You know, so it's a more conservative approach, but it's not a bad way to do it. You know, we get some data and we can help you in the next step. But we always be mindful what system we're doing now, whereas, if they do want to put a battery, it's easier to do later. So we have that conversation with them up front.
So might already put a hybrid inverter in or something like
Yeah,
that?
you could put a hybrid inverter, or, if it's a new house, you might pre-wire it for a battery. Could be just a comms cable, but it's, some of these houses with, architectural roofs, aren't pleasant to climb through afterwards. So, if we can have that conversation later, it definitely helps. Yeah.
I always found that in the olden days, you thought, when batteries come, they'll be easy. We'll just whack them anywhere. But it's actually surprising how hard it is to find the best possible spot for a battery.
Yeah. A lot of the older houses, we've certainly got some challenges to find the right location. 9 times out of 10, you can find a location. We might have to, do some modifications with, fire rating and bring it up to standard, but it's
Little shade or something.
A bit of shade, yeah. So we can generally help most people. But yeah, it's certainly with a new home. Yeah, if you can design the home to incorporate a battery or have that discussion early, it makes it easier to put a battery in. But yeah.
But you most of the times get a solution.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Not like I said, 9 times out of 10 or more, we can obviously find a solution. Yeah.
So SolarWise Wagga Wagga, what certifications and qualifications do you have to install solar and batteries safely?
Yeah, I guess you start off by become licensed electricians. We've got quite a few apprentices and qualified electricians. Most of them have got solar accreditation. And then you have, battery accreditations for on and off grid. So we've got all those as well. And then, you can have a number of, accreditations or endorsements with particular suppliers. So, we're a platinum installer for Enphase, so that's where we have a certain amount of support we give that product, and we sort of honour those relationships as well. So yeah, there's quite a lot we invest into training, and that's one of our strengths, I guess, in offering a good service.
And the end customer benefits. That's
right. Yeah, there's a lot of work we do outside, and we often have to travel for training. We're not like Sydney; we can just duck around the corner, and so yeah. But yeah, we
pick up a latte on the way.
Yeah, so we do invest into training, and I think since COVID it's certainly helped because there's so many more webinars and stuff. So that's actually helped us in regional areas. We always sit in on those where we can.
Yeah. You said you're a platinum installer for Enphase, so you do like the Enphase product. What's it to be liked?
I think we do like it because it's flexible in design. So it's a modular solution, so we can, say it's a new home and, have a particular budget. You obviously got a lot of bills when you're building your home, so you might start with X amount of panels. You'll size the cabling to be able to add more panels later. So you might, put, say, 12 panels on now, get some data, see how the house is running, and then add another 12 panels in a 12 months' time or 2 years' time. So we like it for that reason. We like the fact that it's we can monitor each panel sort of down to the panel level, so we can sort of validate performance and help ensure the customer's system's working down to the panel level. You don't have to jump on the roof to try and figure out which panel's not working. You can physically see it online, which is magnificent. It's a lot safer than some of the DC technologies, although, the standards for DC power systems have changed and they're very, very good, and there's some really good quality systems, but it does have some extra features to make it safer. It works on extra low voltage. So yeah,
What about reliability?
Reliability's good too. Like I said, if there is an issue, we can sort of tell. Like we can go to that particular point and it's quick. We can pinpoint an issue and fix it, whether it's at the panel level or at the inverter level or somewhere else, so we can generally pick it up. But yeah, as far as comparing it next to other systems, it's it's got a very good reliability. It's
So when you do fault find with an end phase, it's not a find a needle in the haystack.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah, we've been doing end phase for quite a while.
How long? How long have you had end phase on the local roofs now?
Probably around 8 years, 6 to 8 years.
And you get hot,
Yeah.
so that thing gets belted away by sitting the microinverter on the roof.
Yeah.
You get a high failure rate.
No, not necessarily. And I think we actually wrote a blog post about how temperature affects micros on the roofs, and it's on our website if anyone's interested. So, yeah, they perform quite well, under the temperatures. So they're fully encapsulated, fully potted. They're in PVC, so it's less conductive to heat. Yeah, and there's no moving parts inside the actual inverter, so it's a solid state inverter, so it's very reliable, under hot temperatures. So, we've been really happy with Enphase. It's just one of the products we do. We do quite a few string inverters as well.
Now, let's say you might get occasionally the odd phone call where there's something unexpected happened. Maybe some cockatoos chewed on some cable and caused a short, or a bat is hanging upside down from some cable and it's not looking too good. How do you handle a sudden phone call on a late Saturday afternoon with a customer having a problem?
Yeah, so we'll listen first. We'll pick up our phone, and always answer our calls.
You're not at the golf course?
Sometimes I'm on the cricket field. I might have to call them back or something.
Right.
But we always have support. If it's something urgent, if we feel there's a hazard, or if they're out of hot water or something, we'll tend to it straight away. If they're concerned on production, we can generally dial into the system. And remotely, if they've got monitoring, and we can sort of see, I can pick up my phone and sort of have a look at it and just see if it's working or if there's something we need to attend to straight away. So, that's really handy, and it can sort of help us either fault find over the phone then there, or, if we have to attend, say, on a Monday, we can get to it on Monday. But, yeah, we have the tools to sort of support our customers whichever way, they need help with, whether it's urgent or after sale, like later on in the week or,
But the olden days, that option wasn't there. You had to physically go out, didn't you?
I know. It's amazing, yeah. And, a lot of the older systems don't have some monitoring, so we're trying to encourage those guys to get some monitoring on so we can, And, a lot of the monitoring has algorithms in it, like, solar analytics to sort of benchmark against what a system should be producing. So, straight away we can sort of tell it what it should be doing. If it doesn't do that, we can flag it and it'll alert us or the customer. So it's magnificent now what we can do.
Right. So how many systems, be it hot water and be it solar and batteries, do you have overall in the wider Wagga Wagga region?
Oh, I haven't counted, Marcus, but I think it's quite a few,
Quite a few thousand?
Yeah. Oh, there would be. I think we did look at it once before. We're just, it's quite amazing sometimes when you do stop and look back, but, we're sort of probably always looking forward too much, what's, how can we, do the next thing? And I think, but we do have a lot of customers. We have some really old customers coming back, and it's really nice when you see them, after 10 years saying, how's things? And, they want us to look at their system. I mean, we do touch base.
You made me 10 grand. Can you do something to make me more money?
Yeah. We do touch base, and we do catch up with customers. We might have a seminar here or there, or, do something, but it's just nice to sort of keep in touch, after all that time.
So what's the secret spices to make an end customer really happy?
I think knowing there's someone to call is important, like having some support afterwards. And, we often sometimes hear from people if something goes wrong, but it's really nice when you hear someone ring up and say, or you ring them up and, oh, I'm really happy I saved, you know, 3 or 4 grand. I was never expecting it. But, you know, they're really great things to get feedback on, because we have it, we project what they're going to save. You know, we're fairly conservative, but if they tell us overs, we're like, oh, wow, fist pump, you know. So it's nice to get those conversations or calls later on. Yeah, and having them, like I said, the tools to monitor systems is magnificent, because we can sort of validate our design as well against their real-time data. And you can also call them up and say, you know, you're running your pool pump a bit late, we noticed, you know, because we can see it online, and tell them, you know, bring it inside the solar curve. And just those little things people love, you know.
That's $50 extra in their pocket.
Yeah, like they
every couple of months.
But they, I think sometimes you're used to old patterns of behaviour, like they might be running their pool at night still. So we try and just say, after a while, we'll pick up on that and say, hey, you know, you could do this, you know, and having that conversation with a customer is valuable, you know. And I think, you know, having a local company that's looking at those things and having that, you know, person down the road, you know, it's real powerful. You know, sometimes I think that's missed by some of the out-of-town companies, where they sort of install it and say, you know, not say see you later perhaps, but they probably don't have the, you know, I don't know, sometimes that service may be missed
maybe
out on.
Maybe it's called the care.
I was going to say care, but I think, yeah, and it's one also is knowing, like, we're technicians, you know, we're not generally salespeople, although we do sell stuff. We're technicians, we can pick up and we know what things use, whether it's a pump or a hot water system. We can tell, you know, we had a guy, a farmer, he was using some power at night, and, you know, it ended up being a pump that was coming on because he had a leak in his pipe. And I said, you know, your pump's running, you know, at night. And he goes, oh, that's strange. It was running during the day. So, yeah, it ended up being a burst water pipe. So it's not just knowing the patterns of usage, but when it's out of normal, you know, it's something else. So he's picked up you know, it hasn't started draining his tanks for his
so he's
crop,
basically saved money on water and money on the electricity.
Yeah, just little things like that, which, you know, we help with, you know. So we go, yeah, it's something that when you...
Listen, don't be shy. What you'd want to say is we go the extra mile.
Yeah. I mean, we do, I think. Yeah, and it's something which I
Which is a very country type thing. You guys don't run around and beat yourself up on the chest and go, I'm the biggest, I'm the greatest. You're not like those kung fu fighters.
Yeah.
You're kind of quietly achievers. But this is really to tell people why you're proud of your job.
Yeah, it is. We've got some great stories to tell. And, yeah, I do get reminded by our staff all the time, you know, what things we do great. And, you know, yeah, we have got some wonderful staff, and they do help people that extra mile. And I think it's one thing I'm really, really proud of, you know, as being a business owner, you know, that you've got staff that do care.
You build a great team.
Yeah, it's amazing, like the amount of money people have saved afterwards, you know, and how our staff have helped them is mind-blowing, you know. I get people coming up and telling me all the time. It's quite amazing. You know, I get goosebumps, you know.
Nice. You talked about getting good product, but can I stuff up good product still with a bad installer?
Yeah, I think you can, yep.
Any examples?
I guess, yeah, we've seen companies come in and like install, you know, maybe a 3-phase inverter on a single-phase switchboard from out of town, you know, and then we get a call from a distraught customer saying, this company's no longer around, I can't get my, you know, system fixed. So we've seen that, you know, it could have been a fine inverter, but just, yeah, the person who sold it had no idea what a single or 3-phase switchboard looked like. So I know it's disappointing, but yeah, we've been able to help those sort of customers and get them, you know, back on the right track, and those customers are now come back to us, you know, and maybe put something else in or... But yeah, you can, you know, people there's a certain level of technical knowledge which you need to help, ensure you're getting the right system or solution. So, yeah, it's not something, you can just walk into, I believe, that's really important. So you can have the great products. You can bang on and say you got the best panel, but if you don't put it in properly, if it's hanging off the side of the roof and it's going to get blown off, it's useless.
Right. If I would be the sales guy, they didn't know what I was doing, and I sold you a 3-phase inverter in a single-phase setup, I could just argue that you should upgrade the house to 3-phase.
Yeah, I know. That was mentioned to the customer, that particular customer. It was a bit disappointing.
How much is that extra?
Oh, it was probably about could be a 2 or 3 more grand
Exercise.
So
the way you're saying to me is you've got a sales guy coming to your customer. It's a single-phase house. He sells them by mistake a 3-phase inverter, which is more expensive than single-phase. But then instead of admitting he stuffed it up, he now recommends to the customer to upgrade the house from a single-phase to a 3-phase, costing him another 2.5 grand, all because he didn't know what he was doing in the first place. Is that what really happened?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it did, and that company eventually went bust. I mean, this Scales guys or whoever their team wasn't trained. Obviously, they probably took the money and before they went bust and left a lot of people in the lurch. So, yeah, unfortunately, that was just one story. We do see that happen a bit. Untrained people coming through the regions. They could be backpackers, hired from some company and, on sales commissions and just waltz through and, install them and sometimes don't turn them on and, it's a bit of a sad story. But, I think, we're always giving that message, and one of the reasons we're doing this, like we're doing now, is to educate people and help them understand some of the challenges or the pitfalls, do their research, talk to a local professional like ourselves, to get some information, get the right information first, before they leap in and sign the dotted line from the pushy salespeople. Yeah.
So do you get the situation where you get a bit like locusts, a swarm of solar salespeople descending from Melbourne or other places onto town, try to flog as many systems as possible, and then run off? A bit like 2 weeks ago I couldn't spell solar, now I sell it.
Yeah, or one of the good ones is, we've chosen your suburb, you're a select, for a trial or special promotion. We get that a lot. And a lot of people selling solar from Google Maps, which only tells you like 10% of the story. Like, it's really
You don't know how
dangerous.
the cables run.
Yeah.
You can't see the condition of the switchboard. Some of the roof tile conditions you can't tell.
Yep. Yeah, it's frightening. Like, and they'll rock up in their big truck with all these solar panels and try and squeeze it on and break a few ridge caps before they leave and see you later. Like, it's and some of these companies are subcontractors. They get paid at rates for so many panels, and they want to put them on
bang
to make their money. Some of them are under pressure. So they're trying to meet or cut corners to try and get their budget. So it's and if you're doing damage to a house or roof, it can cost the customer quite a bit of money to repair.
Well, plus if the tiles are cracked under the panels and the next rainstorm, you get all your gyprock wet.
Yeah. So it's really important. And again, going back to a local installer, there's less risk of that happening. And I guess if something does happen, we have had incidents where, there might have been an accident. We've been able to fix it and move on. Make sure the customer's supported. And get them you know. Could be, you know, an accidental hole like a gyprock or in gyprock or something. You know, we can plaster it up. We've got local plasterers. We work with painters, fix it up, move on. Sorry, you know, buy them a bottle of wine and apologise and move on, you know.
We're all human. I mean,
Yeah,
some roofs are very brittle. The tiles
Yeah.
have been on there for 50 years, so something can break.
Yep. So, yeah, it's important if something does happen, you can fix it.
Yeah. So after sales, I mean, solar has no moving parts. We just whack it on and leave it alone. Is that it?
Yeah, no, I think that's where the main, you know, the main strength in what we do and, you know, helping people get the most out of their system. So monitoring's one, making sure if there's any issues, we fix them straight away or pick them up online. And some of the energy plans at the moment we're seeing, you know, we're helping people save more. Like there's a lot of variance in energy companies and what they're paying for, you know, whether it's incoming power or exporting power. There's a lot of energy companies, you know, incentivising, you know, exports from batteries where you can actually make more money out of your system. You know, an extra, you know, bring your return on investment in by 2 or 3 years.
So you're not only installing a quality solar and battery system, but then you actually can make recommendations what is the best energy plan based on their consumption pattern?
That's right, yeah. A lot of the monitoring systems like Solar Analytics can actually identify whether they're on the best plan. So we'll set that up for them and, you know, identify, you know, and some of these people have saved, you know, up to, you know, $400 or $500 a bill, like some of the larger users, which is quite amazing. So
just changing energy plans?
Yeah, just changing energy plans. Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, unfortunately, people sort of, it's an area where either they're confused or don't have the time to address.
Or they're just loyal.
They're loyal, yeah, true, yeah.
And the loyal ones nowadays get smacked.
I know. And they're coming to us and then we're saying, wow, because we see energy bills and know what they're charging. So we can say straight away, you're going to save an extra $200 on that bill if you switch here or there. So that just coming in or ringing us up, and then we've got the data too from their system, so we can tell whether the energy plan model or their time, whether they should be on time of use or a flat rate. So we can steer them in the right direction, or, you know, if they've got a battery, have they thought about, you know, utilising the extra storage to sell to the grid when the peak times come on. You can actually make quite a bit of money selling power back to the grid at times. It's not just getting the 7 cents. It's, you know, per kilowatt hour, you're getting up to $5, $6, $7 a kilowatt hour at times when the grid's actually under pressure.
Wow.
So yeah.
Does SolarWise Wagga Wagga sometimes get repeat customers?
Yeah, we've got a lot of older customers. Like we said, we've been in business for 15 years. So, yeah, we do get a lot of older customers coming back to either upgrade their system. You know, they might want to put some monitoring in. They might want a heat pump or for hot water, you know, just reviewing their system or getting a maintenance check. So, you know, we're always, seeing our old customers come in, and we're also, you know, sending them emails if they want a service or, you know, just a review. We're happy to help them out. Yeah, so it's quite good. Having a lot of older customers is one of the best things about our business, yeah.
So EVs are coming now through. Are you doing EV charges because you're in the region?
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of residential EV charges. There's also a lot of commercial EV charges that are popping up as well. Whether at libraries or council or, you know, doctor's surgery.
But that's people who just drive around locally. I mean, if somebody wants to drive really long distances, is the EV already practical?
Yeah, I believe it is. I mean, you know, we've got an EV at work, and we use it to service, you know, up to 100 k's around Wagga. You know, most of the regional towns have got EV chargers in them now. You know, and so there's a lot more infrastructure being built. We find, you know, most people only travel sort of 10 to 15 k's or maybe 20, 30 k's a day in around our area. Like it's surprising. We live in a regional centre, but you're not often travelling long distances. Like you might be travelling 30 or 40 k's from work. That's a quarter of a charge. So you can get a quarter of a charge within minutes with some of these charges. So
Right. Okay. So it is practical.
Yep.
Now, let's say I'm a new customer. I've decided to give you my job for solar and battery. What do I expect the next day when you finally rock up and install it? What's the process?
So I guess the process is we do a Grid Connect application first. So we'll send the design to Essential Energy, which is our network provider. So once you become approved, we'll then book the system installation in. The system install can take anywhere from sort of 1 to 2 days for a domestic. It could be up for a week for commercial. So we'll obviously, if we need to project manage any other trades, we will. And once it's installed, we'll obviously commission it, do the handover, take them through all the monitoring.
So you're not just giving me a little button and see you later? Do you spend time training me up, is it?
Yeah. So we make you familiar with all the online monitoring. That's really important. Download all the apps and stuff you need. If there's another staff member or homeowner, like we'll give them access as well. And then we'll also, after about a month or two when they first get their energy bill, we'll often get a call or give them a call to go through that and just make sure they're getting the most out of their system. That's really important. So get him on that track early. And then after that, it could be another 12 months or 2 years. We might hear back from them or help them out, review their system performance. Whether they're looking at a battery or a car charger or hot water. So we just help them with that journey. Yeah.
Right. I would argue in the old days you just installed solar, that was it. But now it's kind of like a 10-year journey.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
Well, that's it. Like I've been in the industry for, close to 17 or 18 years now. And I guess the electrification of, Australia is going ahead in leaps and bounds. We're blessed with this country of sunshine and, we haven't got as many, we've got quite a lot of coal, but we import a lot of oil and stuff still. So, it's really important that we sort of move forward with electrification and, try and help ourselves, be more resilient. So, it's definitely... It is a 10-year journey to electrify a home, I believe. There's a certain amount of investment. It's important, to lay those foundations early with a good partner, a good company that knows their stuff, get the right products and then move forward with that journey. There could be sort of 3 or 4 times you might intercept a customer along that journey.
Because they want their solar, then they want their battery, then they want their EV charger, then their old electric hot water system died and they're moving into a heat pump.
Yep.
And then we haven't even started with the smart home appliances.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think, and it's good to get a consistent level of information too, like working with a supplier or like an installer that's got all the skills. It's really important.
And he knows where all the cable runs and what's behind the wall and all of that.
Yeah.
When you come 5 years later, you don't have to start digging and...
That's right. Yeah, because there are some sort of, I guess there's some bottlenecks with some houses too, and particularly some farms where, you can't do everything you want to do. So sometimes you've got to actually, zig and zag to get the right outcome. Knowing some of those bottlenecks, and you can definitely help a customer better. And having that conversation really early days and projecting forward what they might want can help you sort of lay those proper foundations with those customers. So, it's really important,
Got 4 young kids, they'll all be teenagers and they're going to use much more hair dryers and everything else.
That's right. So, having systems that are modular in design certainly helps. flexibility in design is really important to us.
Yeah. Now, I come into your shop. I want a solar system. I got no idea what size solar system and battery I need. What questions do you ask?
I guess, we sort of try and work out, obviously, the location first, where you are, what type of roof and what area we've got to work with. Review your energy requirements. So, look at an energy bill is the basic thing to start with. If you're not sure, we can put some data logging on, so get some monitoring on just to see. We can put something in your meter box to give us some information to see what you're using. That'll help us sort of identify what size. Then we talk about, what your plans are for the future. So we can sort of say, well, okay, we can design the system for the future proof.
2 EVs.
Yeah, 2 EVs. So we can say, well, okay, we can do up to here now, but you might want to consider leaving that roof place, free for extension of panels, or, we'll put the right size cable in so you can add to it later. If you're considering a battery, we can design the system obviously to incorporate that later. So, it's knowing their current energy requirements and future plans is really important. That's definitely one of the conversations we have straight up. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of blackouts in your area?
We do have areas. Yeah, we do have places. We're sort of, there's some places, in rural properties. We do quite a few battery backup systems for some farms. We had some bushfires a couple, 3 or 4 years ago. Some of the towns around Wagga, like Tumbarumba, got hit pretty hard. So we did a lot of sort of battery systems up there. They were off for about a week, some of those homes. So after the fires, we went in and helped them sort of get power on and put some batteries in to help the power keep up to them.
And I mean, if you have a battery and you get a bushfire and that battery runs your water pump, it can save your house.
Yeah, that's right. So normally if there is a blackout, we'll back up essential items like, pumps, lights and power. They could have a respiration system, like for health reasons. We've done blackout protection for medicine cabinets for doctors and pharmacies.
Right.
Where they've got quite an expensive amount of medicines to keep going. Blackout protection for some shops, or offices, they need computers and stuff going. So, we'll design that for them. They could have a swirl line, like end of the line. We've had properties where they've had brownouts or blackouts, pelicans flying into power lines, It's amazing what happens in the bush.
Don't the pelicans staying normally close to the coast?
I know. No, we had some heavy rains and, had a few pelican issues down our way. Yep.
Right. All the things you don't expect. Right. Do you install off-grid, and what are the challenges?
We do install off-grid. We like some of the challenges. I guess most people come to us. I guess they've been quoted quite a lot to connect to the network. So they're trying to
could be $100,000 to get a long line run, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, and some of that infrastructure they've paid for, they don't actually own. They have to pay for it, and then they don't actually own it. So they'll come to us to try and obviously design a system that's cost effective for them to enable to build a house. And it's really good. Like we have, we'll sit down with them, look at their energy requirements again, and you really go through every appliance and, spec a system for that demand. So we'll sit down with them. It could take 2 hours with a new home builder, and we'll also impart some knowledge on what other people have done in off-grid situations and how they've saved energy, So we've got all that information to give to them before they sort of talk to their architect or builder, so they can sort of pass that on. So it's a solid relationship from day dot with off-grid. You're basically partnering them or helping become their energy provider in some ways. So it's not just tied to the network and with your power company. you're the person sort of giving them the tools to sort of live remotely and independently, you know,
And
off the grid
comfortably.
and comfortably. Yep. So yeah, we're building systems where, you know, the generator's hardly running, you know, for it's sitting there. We have to actually turn it on and test it every now and then to make sure it's sort of ticking over. So the solar and batteries are doing, you know, 95% of the load, you know. So it's quite amazing.
Yeah, I've heard of somebody who actually turned the generator on 10 years after it's got installed, and the bastard wouldn't start because the petrol was very old.
Yeah, no, we generally program the generators to turn on every now and then just to cycle them over. So we'll do an exercise once a month at least.
Right, great. Black solar panels, they can look quite sexy. Are they worth it?
Some of the black solar panels, yeah, they look sexy, yes. A lot of people like aesthetics, you know. You put it on your roof, you want it to look good. And a lot of them, yeah, are quite efficient these days, you know. Very, very powerful, a lot of the black panels. I think, yeah, with the efficiency and the sexiness, as you say, it's a really good option. You know, with a lot of the panel manufacturers identify that, and they're putting black frames on panels as well. You know, yeah. So I think, you know, if you can have a nice looking panel that works really well, it's definitely a bonus. So yeah, I think most of the panels we do look very good. They're black, you know, most of them aesthetically. So yeah.
So do you, in the olden days, we always worried about just the financial savings, but now the aesthetics do become more and more important, don't they?
Yeah, I think they do. And as panel price, it has become cheaper. So, you know, you can generally add one or two panels to get the efficiency where you need it. And maybe if it means putting it at a location which is slightly less output and just adding one or two more panels, but you have a nice looking panel, or if it's maybe off the front of the house where you don't really want to see it, then it's okay, you know. Whereas panels were very expensive before, you wanted to make sure, you know, you put them in the prime position. But if you're sacrificing, say, 5% yield and it's in a good location, but you can add one or two more panels and get the same result, well, that's, you know,
Then the aesthetics win out.
the aesthetics, yeah. So you're sort of doing that to sort of trade off against the aesthetics, you know, like, yeah. So it's interesting as panels become cheaper. Yeah, people are putting them more on, and also putting them on westerly and easterly faces these days can actually be a better asset than putting them on a northerly face. So, you know, rather than sort of trying to cash in on the feed-in tariffs back in the day, where we just wanted to pump everything to the grid. Now we're sort of trying to match our load, which is traditionally sort of morning and afternoon. So yeah, put him on the east and west, which may not be the front, you know, is also a good option.
I'm walking into your shop. I want to have solar. Are you sure solar is going to make me money? And how do you explain that to me?
I don't know if it's going to make you money. It's going to save you money.
Right.
So it's definitely going to offset some of your energy costs. I guess traditionally most people will offset around, you know, like with a good design system, can offset around 50% of their cost without a battery. So, you know, and we try and incorporate tools to squeeze the lemon harder. So if you can get up to 60 to 70% of your cost just by having some good monitoring in and managing your loads better, you know, they're really good investments. So you can add things on.
Managing loads better means that you use whatever you can use in the middle of your day. So if your pool pump was operating at night, you now move it in the middle of the day. If you got gas hot water, you might change it to electric hot water and have the solar power that. Is that what you're talking about,
Yeah.
shifting the load?
That's right. And yeah, put in some good monitoring so you can identify the best times and you can see when it turns on. You know, you can physically see that.
The
It
spikes.
So yeah, putting those tools and giving the customer those tools is really important for us. They'll generally get the best results. And then I guess the next step, you know, if you want to sort of be more independent and save even more, you can put a battery system in as well.
Right. So batteries, how much now? How many, out of 10 people buying solar, how many go for batteries?
I would say now it's close to 40 to 50% people looking at batteries installed up front.
Is that because you're pushing it, or they actually researched it?
No, I think it's definitely become more cost effective, and people with like last year, I think the price of energy spiked by about 25 to 30%, and that really tipped a lot of people over the fence, or it helped batteries become a lot more viable. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of new installs putting in batteries straight away. It mightn't be a big battery, but it will be a battery where they can perhaps add to it later. Yeah, and yeah, we're still doing a lot of retrofits for older customers as well. So we'll put a battery in for an older system. We've got solutions where we can add a battery to as well.
But if I got like a 3 kilowatt system, is it really worth putting a battery? Is that big enough?
Not necessarily. So yeah, that's where it's good to monitor. So if we see they've only got a small system and then they're not exporting much to the network, we can generally tell on their energy bill how much is going out and whether a battery is worth it or not. So we'll help them sort of, I guess, identify that. If it's not viable, we obviously won't put a battery in straight away. We might encourage them to put some more solar on if they've got money to invest, put some good monitoring in, and then look at a battery after that. Could be sort of 12 months after we get some good data, but then we can identify exactly what they need.
If you gave them a good solar system and they said, "Oh, we'll do a battery in a few years," do you then automatically come back to them, or are you waiting for the customer to ring your bell?
So yeah, we might have it in our diary to help call them in, say, 12 months' time, if that's what they're looking at. Some of the customers will just organically come back to us and say, "This is okay, we've got enough money to invest in batteries now. Can we now look at it?" And yeah, so I guess some of the technology changes as well. They might be waiting for something, but now I guess we've got a lot more solutions in batteries. We've got the new N-phase battery that's been released. There's Tesla. There's a range of different batteries out there, so we can generally retrofit or connect any battery up to any customer these days.
So what batteries do you recommend?
I think sticking to a good brand, like there's quite a few. There's Tesla and Enphase, which are our AC couple batteries, so they're popular. And then we do some other batteries, Sungrow, BYD with Feronius. So generally good, reputable companies, trusted and proven. So we have quite a few solutions. There's some other battery solutions we use in off-grid. We use a lot of Australian products for off-grid.
Oh, that's great. What brands are they?
So you got Power Plus Energy. So they're going really well in Melbourne. They're manufacturing a lot of their batteries. We use Selectronic Inverters. So they're a wonderful Australian company, been around for decades.
Built like a tank.
Yeah, wonderful. And, testament to them, they export around the world, which is magnificent. So good Aussie company that's, in that off-grid market. So, yeah, really great to have those Australian products where we've got that extra layer of support, in that off-grid spaces particularly. So, yeah, we'll always try and, work with those sort of guys.
Now there's the microinverter and there's the string inverter. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, so I guess the difference with a string inverter is, I guess it's a more traditional system. So you'll have a central inverter, hung on the wall somewhere with, a group of panels just daisy chained together in series down to the inverter. So the inverter will convert the DC power to the AC power, which you use in your home. Yeah, so I guess that's your more traditional approach, and you generally size the system to meet whatever demand you have. So whether it's a 5 kilowatt or 10 kilowatt inverter, you'll generally size that system. You can parallel those inverters, so if you need more in the future, you can put another inverter in. It is a little bit trickier to add panels later to that type of system because you've got to sort of match the old panel in with the new. So,
and sometimes the standards change.
And the standards change, yeah. So it is a little bit trickier to add to those. But it can be done, but you have to buy another system sort of in beside it. So it costs a little
You're
bit
kind
more.
of not integrating it. It's really got to be a separate standalone string. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, system in parallel. With the microinverters, so each panel has its own mini inverter. So they're operated independently. So you could start with 10 panels now, have a little inverter under each one. They could be a 415 or 420 or 440 watt panel. 5 years later, we can put, a 550 watt panel in with those inverters. So
the panels don't have to match, huh?
That's right, yeah. So it sort of helps future-proof some of the design, and can be a bit more cost-effective as well when you're adding systems as well, upgrading systems. So, yeah, and I guess there's some other benefits as well as with module level, microinverters, for shading mitigation and
Monitoring.
Yeah, we really like monitoring, and it's something we probably see more value in it than the customer, because as technicians we want to be able to fault find really quickly. Customer mightn't see the value of that as much right now, but in 10 years later, or 15 years, 20 years, that's when they'll appreciate the value, because a technician like us can spend a tenth of the time finding out issues on the roof,
rather than be there for 2/3 of the day.
We don't have to disconnect all the panels, test each one. We can say, okay, that panel there's looking a bit odd. We'll go to it, test it, fix it up. Away you go.
You've seen a lot of changes since 2008, 2009 in the industry. Can you predict for me the next 5 years?
I think the industry's certainly grown, and it's becoming, I think there's something like 40 to 50% renewables nearly projected at the moment. I think there's going to be more renewables on the grid, and that's going to help. I guess that's going to make some challenges for the network and how we distribute that energy. Part of the challenges at the moment, we've got all this solar in the middle of the day. What do we do with it all? So I think moving forward, it's going to become more about energy storage and management, shifting off-peak loads like hot water to during the day. You'll see different tariffs change, like there'll be people incentivised to use power during the day than at night, whether that's pricing signals. Obviously, if you can utilise a battery or, in the evening because you will get, I think they will incentivise people to use power during the day, but also have the stick to disincentivise people for using power at peak time. So that could be, pricing signals. Or, I think they'll use the carrot rather than the stick method. But I think doing those sort of things and the way the energy market's going, it's going to sort of encourage investment into batteries, and utilising batteries to sort of either get away from those high power prices or even trade into the market.
Now, I'm very surprised that solar has been growing steadily since 2006. We've been able to see the growth curve. It's like the oncoming train. And that means there's more and more solar being generated around 11, 12, up to 3, 4 o'clock when are the peak production times. Why haven't the energy retailer given us batteries out there to absorb that, to then use it at night? They've been asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, I think there are some energy companies looking to co-partner with homeowners, like to try and, particularly some of the smaller energy companies that are at risk. They don't have the generation in the market like some of the bigger players. So they're sort of at the mercy of the wholesale energy prices. So they're trying to partner with customers and sort of mitigate some of those risks. So it's an interesting dynamic now. But it's taking a while to actually get some steam. In the meantime, homeowners are actually just taking action, forgetting about the big end of town. I can do this myself with my local installer with a battery. And you know what? I'll do my own thing and insulate against and use my own energy. So it's sort of the big end of town sort of getting, like you said, asleep at the wheel a little bit. And, the smaller people like ourselves, I sort of think of us, we're not an energy company, but we're facilitating energy, and giving people the power, to do what they want. So it's sort of that's actually unfolding right now before our eyes. And it's getting, the momentum's just gaining more and more, It's not just happening in residential, it's going to commercial, and eventually we'll look back and think, wow, this is what happened, and, we could see it happening. But yeah, you sort of don't know.
It slowly grows and suddenly you look back and go, oh my God, have we travelled this far?
Yeah, so you don't know whether that you've been in a revolution until you pass through it. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, that's one theory. Yeah. Now, what do you have yourself on the house in terms of solar and batteries?
So yeah, I've got a solar system that's quite old. It does need some upgrading, I must admit, Marcus. I'm too busy doing everyone else's work. So I do have a solar system. I had an optimizer system, so module level, like optimizers back in the day. So where you can monitor each panel. So we were early adopters of that technology, and it's really good. Still hanging in there, working well.
How big?
Quite an old. It's only like 3.5 kilowatts, Marcus.
Oh my God, you're a solar installation company and you've got a 3.5 only.
Well, we don't.
And you tell your customers they need a bigger system.
Well, yeah, I think at the time we don't use a lot of power. Like our house was quite efficient. So, and the panels were pretty expensive back then, Marcus, even though, it was we're using our panels, but yeah, that's all we needed, at the time. But yeah, we do have to upgrade. Like I said, our kids have become teenagers now. Back in the day, they were only this high. Now they're giants and using more power. So, yes, I have been trying to get around to it. But, yeah, it's...
You've given customers priority.
Yeah, we do. And that's probably just me. I often put other people first and, forget myself sometimes. So.
And what about a battery?
Yeah, definitely batteries on the cards, EV charger. So we've got a hybrid car at the moment, but we have EV cars at work. So, but my next car will be an electric vehicle. So definitely we'll have an EV charger in there. Yep. So when we have to upgrade or replace.
So next time we do a podcast, you better tell me you got something bigger than a 3.5.
Yeah, I will. Sorry, Marcus. You shouldn't have brought that up.
No, that's all right. I mean, it's you probably have a very high self-utilization. That system, you don't export much. You'd be possibly utilizing it all in the house.
Yeah.
Look, we do like in our podcast kind of personalized stories, okay? Something where there's a pensioner stuck in the middle of nowhere. There's an off-grid system where they were kind of, in the middle of winter and they baked the cake and the battery gave way and you had to chase out, or somebody who installed in Tasmania and they had to fly. It was so remote they had to use a helicopter to get the panels in. They're good stories. Have you got anything like that?
I think Christmas Eve once I had to visit a home. I forget what it was. I think...
All you remember is you missed Christmas with the family, did you?
Yeah, I forget the issue, but I had to get in the car and my wife came with me, and that was interesting.
It was Christmas Eve?
It was Christmas Eve, yeah.
And what about the kids? They were in the back seat too, were they?
Come. Yeah, they would have been young at the time.
Is that a customer call?
Yeah.
Did you wear a Santa hat?
No, it was actually nice. We ended up fixing the problem and having a beer with his family, and yeah, it was actually quite nice. Yeah. And yeah, so that was quite a while ago. I think it was probably... Yeah.
So you're saying you came on Christmas Eve for an after-sales call when the person was in emergency.
Yeah.
The wife was in the car, the kids were in the car, and you came and sorted out the problem.
Yeah. No, they came for a trip. And no, it was all right. They got to see... come to work day.
Hold that spatter.
Yeah, but it was nice. Like they're really lovely customers, and I think that's one of the relationships you do build with off-grid customers. Like, you just have that relationship, and you can have a beer with their family on Christmas Eve.
But wasn't the wife cranky that she was preparing the Christmas?
Oh, she got to see a beautiful home. She was all into the home. She said, "Oh, this is the most amazing home that was built." And yeah, I said, "Yeah, we designed this solar system for them to live here, off the grid." And yeah, we got to meet the rest of their family, which was quite nice. And yeah, say good day. And
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're getting a Christmas card from them, do you?
No, we just drop in every now and then, you know. Yeah, they've got a business as well where they make, you know, jams and stuff. We put solar on their business as well, which is nice. So they do a lot of production during the day, and that's helped their business offset some of their costs. So it was just a flow-on effect, you know, from good service. I think, you know, this was after the Christmas Eve story. We got some more business out of them and work with them. So it was magnificent, you know.
So that you got the connoisseurs going, oh, wow, this strawberry jam is really special. It's been made with renewable energy.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, they're just good people to deal with, you know.
So is that the satisfaction you get rather than just the bucks?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, just having those relationships and, you know, I can drop in and buy a coffee and off them, and they make great coffee as well and food, and, you know, every time I get the chance, I'll drop into that town.
You can mention the brand and the place, might as
Yeah,
well.
Long Track Pantry, Huey. Yeah, they do a good job. They're amazing business in Juyong there. If you get the chance to stop in, yeah, grab a coffee or a feed.
And a very nice renewable energy produced jam.
Yep. Get around.
Got to send me a jar, please.
Yeah, I should have bought one. I passed it on the way.
One last thing. I mean, you know those grasshopper sales companies that come into town and sell the system cheap and getting all the grannies to line up and sign up and all that. And then when after sales happens, there's nobody to be fined. Do you sometimes have to dig out those holes?
Yeah, we do help people after that, you know, the experience. You know, if we can't intercept them early, we'll certainly help them afterwards.
But is it really worse with some of the systems, or do you really just got to say amen and pull it off?
It's hard. Like some of it could be working and they're just not sure if it's working or not, or, you know, it could be okay. Obviously, if there is a fault and if it hasn't been installed properly, you know, partly because of and that's what's led to the fault, that can be a hard conversation to talk to the customer to try and rectify it.
Because you, with your electrical license, fixing it, now taking the commercial risk.
That's it, yeah. So, yeah, we've got a duty of care to, you know, bring it up to standard. So, yeah, often, you know, we might have to do a major rectification, and that can be expensive and, you know, a hard conversation for someone.
So all those savings are just whopped out the door when you actually have to do it properly.
Yeah, that can be one of the challenges. Yeah, so I guess, you know, where we can, you know, if it's something that can be replaced quite easily, or, you know, like for like and without any modification, you know, that's obviously our first game to save the customer, you know, as much money as we can, I guess. But if we have to, we'll have that discussion with them and work out the best way forward.
So who gives those bad news information? Is that where you send the sales guy, or you're handling that yourself?
No, I do a lot of that myself. Or, you know, we'll like generally if a salesperson goes out there, we'll come back with the information. We'll sit down and discuss it, and then you know, if we need a technician to go out and test something, we'll test it.
But I mean, the customer would have to pay for your trips, wouldn't they?
Yeah, look, we do a lot of goodwill, you know, but we also have to be mindful. We have to charge for some of this as well to ensure we're sustainable, because, yeah, we shouldn't be held responsible for, you know, bad installs, and, you know, we need to actually make sure, you know, those customers are supported as best we can. And I guess sometimes we do have to pass on some of that cost. If they become our customer, and, you know, sometimes we do a lot of goodwill, you know, if we turn them around and they become our customers, sometimes we say, look, we'll waive that cost, and, you know, let's get it sorted and move
Start
on.
fresh.
Yeah.
You're much nicer as a person than some other installers, because some other guys are actually quite cranky that the customer was silly enough to fall for the trap of the cheap crap, and they feel the customer should learn a lesson.
Yeah, look, sometimes the customer sometimes doesn't know, and that's one of the challenges. Like, if you're not sure, I don't know what the...
Well, but hang on, if it's too cheap to be true, I get one quote for 3 and everybody in town gave me a $7,000 quote.
Yeah.
What, and I think the 3 is as good as the 7 when 4 other guys told me it's 7?
Yeah.
I mean, you must be a bit naive, wishful, or be a bit of a gambler.
Yeah, probably, yeah, that can happen to people, and, yeah, but there's also people out there that do just get bitten and like
Innocently.
like they think they're getting the best deal or the best product or the best company.
Do you know all those German panels that actually were made in China?
Yeah,
the customer goes, I got German panels. And you go up and it says, oh, have a look at the label.
Yeah, so there's some people out there that legitimately just get burnt, you know, and they've got the best interest at stake. You know, we see that a lot, you know, some people are vulnerable, you know. I guess it's those people that we're sort of, we do feel sorry for, and, you know, we have to try and help get back on track, you know. You know, and look, at the end of the day, if we're able to help them get a better result longer term and get, you know, lose some of that bitter taste in their mouth, it's good for us and good for the industry. Like, so we're trying to help as many of those we can. Some people we can't help, you know. Some people get burnt and haven't got the money to fix it. You know, that's a bit sad. You know, that's really sad.
So they were struggling already, decided to get cheap solar. Cheap solar failed, and now they don't have the money to fix it. So now they're back in the high bills.
Or borrowed the money. You know, some people don't have the money and they've had to borrow it, and they haven't got a system that's working. You know, and they get pushed into a, you know, one of these sales companies that you know, sign here an interest-free loan, and then they've got to try and borrow more money to fix it. Like, it's
sometimes actually when they borrow the money on an interest-free loan and buy the crap, they're still paying the system off when it's already dead.
I know. It's a vicious cycle. So, it's really, it's just, I think the main thing is to just do enough research and, you know, speak to locals like ourselves, you know, reputable companies have been around for a long time, you know, get the advice straight up. Ultimately, you have to sleep with your decision, but if you know you've made that decision with the most information you've got, and it's an educated decision, you're going to sit more comfortable with it. You know, and if something goes wrong and you have bought that cheap system, you've only got yourself to blame, unfortunately. You know, and you haven't got that after sales service. You have to just then you have to understand that's your call, I guess.
Do you sometimes walk in and you actually given them really a good solution? You know you can save them money, you give them good gear, it's a fair price, and you missed out to one of the out-of-town cheapy deepies. How does that make you feel?
I guess we sort of look internal first and make sure, have we given them all the information? You know, explain some of the risks. So we look at that first. If we can, we'll ask the customer what made them come to that decision, if they're happy to share it. I guess just for our own peace of mind, you know, at the end of the day, it's probably, if we do lose a customer for that situation, we probably sleep better at night knowing that we did present them the best option, you know, and if they didn't go that well and they did go you know,
down the cheapy deepies crap solar route, yes?
Yeah, look, as long as they understand at the end of the day what they're getting, that's their choice.
They went for the gambling solution.
Yeah.
And most of the times, because we know the Australian climate is tough,
Yeah.
they will lose. So at year 4, they're going to now ring you back because the other company has closed their doors, and they come back and say, yeah, I should have possibly bought the more expensive one from you, but can you now come and fix it for me?
Yeah.
Has that happened?
Yeah, it does happen, and, you know.
And then you say, stuff you, you should have bought it from me, or do you still go out and fix it?
No, look, we'll fix it. Like,
oh, you're so nice.
I know.
I would have taught him a lesson. Mate, you little...
Oh, sometimes I do think, you know, should I...
I told you 4 times not to do it, and you still did it.
Yeah.
And now you're coming back to me to ask me for help.
We've got some real softies that work with us. And
I think you're one of them.
No, I can be a hard ass sometimes, Marcus. I can. No, not hard ass, but...
Bit more firm.
Yeah, like I sometimes, you know, we have to look at it from a business point of view sometimes and, you know, make sure...
I'm travelling 100K now to tell the bloke you should have made the better decision a couple of years ago.
I know, because we do invest a lot to educate people, and if we miss out on jobs and they've gone elsewhere for that reason, it's hard to, you know, to pick up the pieces along the way.
A cheap inverter is a cheap inverter. You can only pull it out and replace it. There's not much what else you're doing.
We don't make money fixing
other
crap
people's
systems,
problems.
to be honest with you. Like
Yeah.
it's not part of our business. We want to make sure that we're putting good systems in, upfront, reliable, and making sure they last, and we're not going back to things. Like, that's our philosophy. If other companies want to have that business model, and unfortunately we see a lot of them go broke because they've gone down that path.
Well, they deliberately go broke because they know the thing is going to crack it up in a couple of years. So I don't want to be around for the warranty.
I know.
I change Solar Shine to Solar Shinier and start all over again.
I know, and it's sad that it happens. It really is.
800 companies in Australia so far.
I know. Yeah, and the regional people are being hit by a lot of those companies because, they're out of town. They can wipe their hands clean and, go back to wherever they're from, and so we do see it a bit. But I guess for us,
is it becoming less?
I think it is a little bit. Door knockers frustrate me a little bit because they're still around. I'm hoping they
should
stop that.
outlaw it.
They should
outlaw solar door knocking because I've never seen a positive result. I have seen old people being sold crap gear at very high prices. They could have had a really good system.
Yeah.
Sometimes the system was so poorly done that they knew it wouldn't go through electrical inspection, so they never even turned it on.
Yep.
So the customer's still getting the same bill. Got solar, but nothing's moving in the dial of the bill.
Yeah.
Those are the outcomes, and that's the outcome from door knockers.
Yeah, I hope they outlaw it. I did read something today actually in Victoria. They're looking at outlawing door knockers, which is great. So hopefully that's the start of things to come, and they outlaw it across Australia.
You don't get a good outcome. You get lies, you get promises of $0 bills, and usually the gear is installed by what we call roof monkeys that don't even have sometimes the right qualifications.
Yeah, yep. No, we do see that.
So be warned, buy cheap solar, buy twice, and you're lucky you got a local guy in Wagga Wagga who's actually willing to come out and have a look at it and fix it, because in some other regional areas, they let you hang and say, bad luck, you bought crap, pull it off. I can fix it, but I'm coming with a wrench.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
All right. Well, look, I've had my little sermon here, got a bit steamed up. I just hate it because solar is done for environmental reason.
Yeah.
The rebate is given for environmental reasons. And then we put crap in it that goes into landfill after only a few years. So environmentally, we haven't gone forward.
Yeah.
That's where we get the annoyance.
Yeah, it is one of the concerns. I mean, we are lucky in Wagga now. We've got some panel recycling companies start up. So,
great.
If we do have to take panels off, we can recycle them, which is good. Yeah, so we've got solutions. Some of the panels can be reused on some low voltage applications if they're still working. But we try and reuse or recycle if we have to.
All right. Well, Alex, it's been very enlightening. I will one day come to Wagga Wagga, and now I also know a coffee shop where to go to.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that you drove all the way to our studio today to share your knowledge.
No, great to be
And I think the people in Wagga Wagga will benefit to just learn a bit more about solar and batteries. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Marcus.
Want more energy answered? Visit yourenergyanswers.com for quality energy products, tools and calculators, and find your quality local installers. Please support the channel by liking the video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell, and check out all our other videos. You're still here? I'll see you next time. Bye.